Wow. Been a little while since I did one of these episodes. Hey there, everyone. One of those talkies, I like to call them. I was in a creative routine for a while, but I need to change it up. I need to try to at least facilitate a little bit of greater earnings. Wow. I'm very excited by all the growth that I've seen since the release of last LP, 2020. Of course, available on all the major online retail outlets for stream or download. Little commercial there. This is Jeff Adams with another exciting edition of Ye Old Indie Dude. Long story short, things have been happening. At this point in time, the local world seems to have opened back up somewhat, though still seemingly in some sort of odd dystopian weird way. I'm pretty sure most people are fairly tired of this stupid virus nonsense by now. It's an ebb and flow of sorts as people really want to go out and play. I know many people are and have had a chance to. There are people on the road and on tour. Hopefully we're still able to keep things civil and safe. For me, it's been a joyous experience being able to perform live at venues again. Well, for the last several months anyway here. The time has just been flying by anyway. I've been doing a lot more stuff outside of the normal online socials routines. As I was indicating, gigs are back. A little bit more anyway. Somewhat. I'm building back up to a suitable performance schedule, at least locally. Need to get back to performing more broadly, geographically. So all this takes a lot of behind the scenes preparation as a musician. Certainly practice, gear inventory and maintenance. As an indie, most of the time I'm my own roadie and guitar tech too. Although I do get some help from time to time, thankfully. Besides that, I've been in the studio much more over the last few months, putting together the tracks for my 9th studio release. That was just one sentence. Perhaps that one sentence does not convey the magnitude of this undertaking. I'm an independent artist under my own label, so it's not only a matter of recording a song. Usually a sound recording is a work of art comprised of many corresponding pieces that combine to exude interesting sounds with concepts that might be seen as universal. Arranging the score, recording each track, no matter how long it takes to get each track right, and sound engineering are also no small feats. So, this sort of thing has altered my strategy a little bit as to organization in moving forward, but it is refreshing to break the routine, change things up a bunch, and lends perspective, which can actually help foster greater creativity. This sort of thing happens all the time with creative people, though, where you get into a creative rut, as it were. People seem to automatically search out routines and patterns. I know I'm a lot like that, especially as I get older. But also the thing I notice the most, besides the fact that change appears to be the only constant, only real constant as much as we're kept in similar conditions, is that the more self-aware people seem to become, the more the focus is turned inward towards self. I think we can help ourselves so many ways by turning our focus outward. We help ourselves and invariably help other people in the process. If we turned this into our routine, our habit, our pattern, the world would be infinitely greater, perhaps. But we have a world where the corporation has the same, if not greater, legal status as a person, but with infinitely more power. Who said that absolute power corrupts absolutely? John Dahlberg Acton. But the routines we enjoy, as it were, as to be more ascribed to the paradigm we find ourselves within through our own allowance. Not that there aren't external factors. The pandemic era has made manifest all sorts of changes, the ramifications of which might not be seen right away. Human beings can be quite smart, but on a larger scale, looking at human beings in general, it seems like the statistical average might be considerably lower. Who said, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. That was by George Carlin. I'm a huge fan of the works of George Carlin. While it seemed like his comedy was based on outrageous statements, He was brilliant and hilarious. People find such outrageous statements funny because they're remarkably tied to the truth. Yeah, it didn't seem at all possible that humanity is going to continue in the same manner as before the pandemic, does it? So much has been revealed during this time. Any truth can be gleaned between information and deliberate disinformation. I write songs about stuff like this. Big questions of life. The biggest one I see as being, what the fuck? In any given situation, I think this is a relevant question. So, I've done a lot with my little YouTube series over the last year, even though I've slowed down a little here to produce other content, which will ultimately be here too fairly soon, if the fates allow, as they say. I thought to serve as basic inspiration and information for the creative individual, but I go on strange little tangents, and then I try to tie that into something inspirational. And when I get to the finishing stages of my new LP, which I'm hoping to finish within the next couple of months, I'm going to be involved in a lot of projects, a lot more projects online again, including more regular YouTube episodes. I'm going to doing the indie dude more, of course. I know you were worried about that. Here to allay those fears. I've received a ton of questions surrounding what I do and how I go about it. Other more general questions, I do try to answer these as I can on the various platforms, but I don't always see comments very timely. In the next episode, especially lately, in the next episode, I'm going to review these questions and comments to the best of my ability, more broadly. Of course, I put original music on this channel all the time, so please make sure to subscribe if you haven't had a chance to. This will notify you as to when new content shows up on the channel. I've been doing pre-recorded live songs on a little show called Jeff Adams Indie Live, which I've been posting more recently based on actual live shows rather than just strumming a song for the camera, for example, during the pandemic and such. But either way, it's great, of course. Point, as always, is your entertainment. Please feel free to leave any comments or if you have any questions down below, and I'll be sure to answer as quickly as I can, maybe even on the next episode. I want to do a live Q&A too, just a general audience live chat and jam at some point soon too, if you'd like. Thanks for subscribing. Please put a like on the video too. This tells the algorithm that you want to see more content like this, and may very well grant me favor in the digital kingdom. One of those things I'm supposed to say. Please push the like button, the call to action, as it were. I appreciate that, though. I've got a bunch of shows coming up from Philadelphia, Dover, Baltimore. All fairly small, intimate shows, which I particularly enjoy. I do a lot of jamming with accompaniment as well. Mostly that means an extra guitar player doing some lead work. I've developed quite the musical rapport with my good friend Chris McDonough. Chris is fairly scant as to online presence, and I admire him greatly for it. I gotta say, it requires a bunch of strength and wisdom, whereas I tend to lean in the opposite direction. As an artist and performer, I feel a little bit like I should try to be like everywhere, in as many places as possible, both virtually and in the world. Chris is a brilliant, classically trained guitarist with whom I've had the honor to jam with for quite some time. We put on quite a show. It's always a lot of fun. While I love broadcasting online live, some platforms have some rules that are a little too much like playing a game. I actually perform songs that I've written from blood, sweat, and tears. The only games I play surrounding that are to perform other songs too. So, whether live, pre-recorded, from a podcast, a show, clip, or studio recording, the object of the endeavor is to gratefully gain audience. If I were to be a busker again, I'd do that on the street, where there are people, rather than what amounts to be a chat room that no one populates. While I'm not making a huge fortune yet, maybe that will transpire, maybe not, I do get paid to do what I do. If something online isn't adding up, it's not going to stay on the roster for very long. I'm not calling out any platform by name, of course. Performing live is something many artists make decent sustenance in so doing. Some online performance platforms are making a fortune themselves in mechanical and other types of licensing off of other people, while the individual artist is rendered to pennies. Literally. I often joke that if I were making this sort of income from music 100 years ago, I'd be living large. Pennies for album streams, pennies for live streams. No. Of course, back then, alcohol was illegal for a little while, so that would have affected venue availability. Everything always changes. Plus, the lone musician dude in the smoky corner didn't become a popular thing until the 60s. I started doing it in the 90s. Music can be so many things. Performing online is a different experience than playing at a live venue. Performing solo is way different than performing in a band. Recording in any iteration is different from all of that. Add variables, and it can be terribly exciting. Of course, all of that is to say that fear can be terribly exciting too. You've never had to consider where your next meal might come from, or where you're going to spend the night. Being a starving artist might not be a very easy thing for you to get used to. There are many other variables too. And I think just being as flexible as possible in the allowance for possibilities is an important component. Be authentic, but try to stay positive. It's easy to allow circumstances in life to alter one's focus. Please stay tuned to this channel for more exciting updates as the new album release grows nearer. I'll certainly keep everyone updated as to its progress. The name of the new LP has already changed a couple times. I think I've settled on who knows. Please be sure to check out jeffadams.info for more links, like where to follow me on the various social platforms, as well as info as to where you can catch me live. Coming up soon, lots more live stuff. While every era is historic, not every era has been like this one. What will it reveal? I guess we're going to find out together. Thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time.